Welcome back, everybody. Today's video is about sharpening and setting band sawmill blades. Sawmill band blades have teeth that are set left, right, and one that is left center. In this picture, you can see that the tooth that I've colored red is set to the right. Band blades have several components. In this picture, the part that's in red is the tooth. The part in red in this picture is the gullet. The gullet is where the sawdust accumulates while the tooth is in the cut. This picture is the face of the tooth. At the top of the face is the tip of the tooth. The tip is leaned in a forward direction 10 degrees from the bottom of the face. The tip is what does the cutting and is the part that gets dull. This picture is the back angle of the tooth. This picture and the next are pictures of sharp teeth. The next two are pictures of dull teeth. When we begin setting teeth, the first thing we need to do is zero out the setter. In order to do that, you have to clamp the blade firmly without allowing the anvil to touch the blade. So putting a shim behind the blade beneath the anvil allows you to zero out the dial indicator. Now that it's zeroed out, I can move to the first settable tooth and check the set currently in the tooth. As you can see, we're sitting at 10 thousandths. We want it to be at 15 thousandths. Now I'm just checking a couple more teeth. As I'm setting, I'm working on keeping up with making sure I'm properly aligned on every third tooth, as well as watching what's known as the overset. That's what you see on the dial indicator every time I have a tooth fully bent. If that number is very much higher than the average, then that means that that tooth is bent, overset, before I get a chance to set it. In that case, I would need to take some set out of it. There's 180 teeth on each of these blades, 60 that have to be bent in each direction, and of course 60 that are supposed to be down the middle. It takes about 2.5 minutes to do each side of the blade. In between, I have to invert the blade because this setter only pushes in one direction. Now we're finished with the first side of setting the blade. We have to take it off, get out in the open floor, put on some welding gloves, and get the thing inverted, and then put it back onto the setter, set the other half. Now we'll be rotating the blade in the opposite direction, so we have to swap to the other alignment stop. I use the weld where the blade is welded into a loop to identify when I've made it all the way around, so I'm getting it oriented to start. And that completes the second side of setting the blade. Now we have to flip it back around so we can put it on the sharpener. So the sharpener that I've got is homemade from scratch. I started with a Chinese Oregon knockoff chainsaw sharpener. I'm still using the actual chain guide. It represents the part of the bar for the chainsaw, you know, that you put the chain in. Same grinding wheel as you use for the chainsaw sharpener. I bought this little gear motor, a couple flanges to go on it. I machined this little aluminum block here. Got a piece of all thread, some knurled hand nuts, a spring, as you can see. Got this little piece of linkage down here that I use as the drive. It's got a little pin in the end of it that rolls. This little motor is 24 volt. So I've got a little 24 volt DC. I've got a little rectifier set up here so I can run it off at 120 volts. I've built this cam to mimic the shape of the saw blade, so that the sharpening stone will drop on the 10-degree face of the blade. Then it comes slowly up out of the gullet, so it grinds the face of the tooth and across the gullet. I do have it come completely clear by the time it starts up the back side of the tooth, because I don't actually want the blade sharpened on the back side of the tooth. Anyway, I built these little rollers to support it. I've got 3 of those. I lubricate the blade with the WD-40 using my fingers. All right, we're gonna power this thing up. We need to find our weld, which is coming up in just a second. I need to make a little adjustment. So obviously this grinder is grinding every tooth the same. The blade is sitting perpendicular to the sawmill blade. So this grinder without the stand The stand was something I just came up with. I may have $150 in the whole thing, maybe $200 worst case scenario. The little gear motor, when I got it, was smaller than I anticipated it being. So far it's held up. As soon as I got it and realized how small it was, I turned right around and ordered another one just like it, so that if it goes out, I don't have but $15 in that little gear motor, I think it is. So I'll be able to throw another one on there and know how long I've got to failures based on the first failure, and start looking at something better. I don't know, maybe a windshield wiper gear motor or something along that line. So it takes between 5 and 10 minutes to set a blade, and it takes about 10 minutes to sharpen a blade. I can sharpen 7-degree blades with this same machine by loosening and adjusting that blue handle on the very back to change the angle, and then I have to adjust the height linkage right there on the machine, and I can sharpen the 7 degrees as well. I would like to thank everybody today for watching the video. If you liked it, please hit the like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Have a good day.